What's 16860?
So there, how it's gonna work is there's three different committees.
What's 16860?
Your request for the beer and wine Class E license will be one of them agenda items that come up. So they'll introduce an item and they might have any questions. So if you feel comfortable, they might have questions. That's how it's not any pressure.
Okay, this is my English is a little better.
And actually, it's going to be on the,
If there's anything you don't,
Can you hear us, Mike?
Yeah.
I can translate now.
Okay.
that's the old address for Hutchinson Anderson.
If we may call to order the notice of the meeting of the Administration and Legal Committee. Let the record show that it is 6:30. I would also like to indicate that Trustee Glatz will be participating in this meeting electronically by telephone conference call. He is prevented from physically attending this meeting due to employment purposes. The voice of the absent member participating by telephone conference call must be identified by the other village board members. Trustee Glatz, are you there?
Yes, sir.
I know you're here.
Bill Brennan, also in attendance.
All right. Second thing is to consider the approval of minutes of the Administration and Legal Committee meeting held on July 9th, 2019.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it, so ordered. And discuss 2019 surplus equipment ordinance. Dave, is that you?
Laura's going to handle
Laura, okay.
Good evening, everyone. The surplus equipment ordinance is something we do annually, and I'll read a little bit about it here. Per state law, an ordinance must be adopted to declare any village property in excess of $1,000 of estimated value as surplus prior to disposing of or sale to another agency. Based on the age, service condition, mileage, future maintenance costs, and other factors, the items are deemed to be no longer practical for the village uses and are earmarked for sale or disposal as appropriate. The village will donate, send to auction, or dispose of the items considered surplus. And in your packets, you'll see the surplus ordinance and then the list, the surplus list that I received from Public Works. And as you can see, it's mostly cars and heavy equipment, tractors, things like that. Any questions?
No, this is like, say, an annual thing.
It's
which
an
we've
annual
seen
thing.
Before, should be no problem.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion.
I had a question, Dave, when you're done.
Okay. Laura's done.
Okay, now this has to go to the board?
Yes.
Okay, because I wanted to make a motion to remove some of these vehicles and discuss them further. Unfortunately, since I'm out of town, I'm not able to do that now. That's what I'd like to do. Do you want me to list the vehicles by vehicle number so we could vote on that, or how do you want to do that, Dave? What works best?
Do you know them now, or you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Sure.
Do you have your surplus list?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll just list them by vehicle number, 679, 73, 80, looks like 0351, 34, and 1C. Just until the next meeting so I could look at these, because some of these, we haven't spent hardly anything on half of these vehicles. So I don't think it's financially in our best interest to be replacing them.
So do you want a report on why the recommendation was? Is that true? And then we would table this to the next Public Works meeting? Is that what?
Yes, so motion is to remove those, let the other ones go forward, because some of them are some
Okay.
big, heavy equipment, and we obviously need to get that replaced.
Okay.
There's Crown Vics, which are older version of the police cars. So yeah, my motion is to remove the ones that I mentioned, and then talk about, if you want, you could even add it if it's important, if you feel to replace some of these, we could also add it to a cow meeting. But some of these, yeah, we're not spending hardly anything on these vehicles to replace them.
I mean, I think we can wait a month, right? To discuss it, right? Yeah, okay. We'll just bring back a report on those ones you took off for the September meeting, and then vote on the other ones on Tuesday.
All right, so then I need a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And so ordered. Okay, item number 4, discuss liquor video gambling licenses for the following. A, Class EV Happy Bites Burgers and Wings at 8021 183rd Street. B, Class E Speedy Burrito, 7108 171st Street. And Class C, Class AV Tribes Ale House and Grill at 9501 171st Street.
Happy Bites, want to go first?
Yes, my name is Pradeep Patel. I own the Happy Bites restaurant. Been there around, I would say, maybe close to 3 years now. And I have some drawings with me, a proposal that I would like to present to you guys. And I'm trying to add another food concept to a neighboring store that I have lease for, and break a wall and make it more like a food court, and then add gaming to supplement the business activities over there. Would you like to see
Are they the same drawings that you?
No, that's the older drawing, so let me
Okay.
give you. This is the booklet I got, because now I'm trying to add a restaurant to it,
Okay.
additional restaurant to the existing one.
So if I could jump in as well, just the original memo, or the original included in my memo for the request is the original materials from Mr. Patel, and then these updated ones, just let me know that he'd like to share, just because their thoughts have evolved of what they'd like to do.
Yeah, so while, after I gave you the original about a few months ago, I thought of adding a more healthier option apart from already the good tasty Happy Bites, but a more healthier option on the next door store that I have. The name will be California Way. And we'll be breaking the wall in between, and under the same corporate umbrella, having 2 restaurants, like a food court. And within that, according to the design that I gave you, we would like to, to have the privilege of a liquor license to serve beer and wine, and then, the gaming license, if the mayor agrees.
Just taking a second to look at what you just
No
handed
problem,
us.
no problem. Also have a big presentation board. If I, here, Dale. He's Dale, he works for the Excel Entertainment, who I work with for poker related. So one of them is the existing restaurant.
Can you see that, Bill?
Yeah.
The other one is the proposed restaurant next to it.
Does it go this way here?
Can I come up?
Certainly, please do.
All right, so currently, if I'm gonna hide this, the bottom of my arm is the existing restaurant.
Okay, all
okay?
of this.
And this is the new proposal on top.
Over here.
So which is where this poker will go in this corner, a couple hundred square feet. This will be the sandwich place. This will be the kitchen part. And this will be the entry of the customers. This will be.
This is the
fire.
parking lot, this is
This
183rd?
Yeah, this is the 183rd, this is the parking lot, this is the city liquors over there.
Okay. And this is currently,
This is currently
Currently
already
Happy Bites?
existing, this is
Okay.
the 2 restaurants. So
Okay.
we will be, in this corner, we'll be putting up the poker, because it will be under, there will be openness over here. People are either going here or people are going here. They want a hamburger or they to eat a sandwich, like a cold sandwich, like a Subway sandwich.
okay. Because wasn't the earlier proposals to add more seating?
The earlier proposal was to have, yes, the earlier proposal was just to add seating, not to add a restaurant. what I'm proposing now is to add another food item. Another kind of food item. Obviously, you know, for the approval of the building department or the people, we can add it.
You guys are cutting in and out. Can you let me know when I could ask them a question?
Well, yeah, the proposal is different from what was sent to us in the email, so I don't know. You can't see what we're seeing here, so it's,
I can shoot him an email right now. This design is in my email.
Okay.
The new one.
Oh, the proposal has changed?
yeah, he wants to, he's proposing another healthier eating restaurant next door instead of more seating in that space.
Did you hear that, Mike?
You started out and then you cut out. I'm sorry, Bill. If it's changed, do you want to just table it until?
Yeah, I'm good with that, because I mean, we can go look at it in person if you'd like to.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion then to table it until we get a chance to go look at it.
All right, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, sir. We just need more time to take a look at the new
No problem.
proposals and take a look at it.
Not a problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You want to hang on to this presentation board? So,
Yeah, we can.
Sure.
Did you have an extra one too? I can give.
He's got
to-
2 of them here.
well, the one is like a architectural drawing.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, one more of
yeah,
these.
yeah.
That way I can share.
To the other
Okay.
trustees.
Okay, perfect. This is good. And we can possibly move it to, a cow too, if that way we can
Okay.
get it in front of one of the committees too,
No
if
problem.
need,
So
if
probably,
need be.
you know, you'll inform me when it will be next kept on the agenda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, if I can, if, okay.
Go ahead, Don.
If I could chime in from a staff comment, yeah, so if, just because this is, since I submitted the proposal, this is new to me as well, so we can, by tabling it, we can, I can share the plans with the building department as well and get input on how that would work with this new proposal, and then I'll be in touch about, the timeline
Okay.
for the next
Okay.
meeting.
No problem. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
I couldn't hear. Bill, when did they say that this was submitted?
This is news to staff too, so this is, they
No,
have,
the original letter, the one that we're looking at that's in our agenda packet.
So their original one, I'd have to pull it from email or when it's originally submitted, but it's within the last, I think, month and a half, 2 months, trustee.
Did you get that, Mike?
No, I couldn't hear a word he was saying.
He
My
said-
bad. Just, no big deal.
Okay.
If we tabled it, I'll find out when I get back.
okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Item B, under Class 4, Speedy Burrito. Someone representing?
Hi, my name is Carolina. I'm the owner of the Speedy Burritos. We asked for the beer and wine license because our customers are asking for beer. That's why we decided to apply for the liquor license.
Nice. You're gonna get rid of your ice cream, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions?
I have any questions on it? Staff have anything to say concerning this?
Not much beyond what's in the memo, in their application, in the letter, just that they, from a fiscal perspective, that's why they submitted the request on June 10th, because they think it makes sense. And they have the menu and they'd like to compete. So not much input beyond that.
Okay.
Thanks, Don.
Well, we can make a motion.
Trustee Galatz, you got any questions?
No, sir. I'm fine with the liquor license. That's great.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye. Or
Aye.
Make a motion, I'm sorry. Like to make a motion?
Second.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And so goes it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Class C, AV Tribes, Ale House and Grill.
So trustees, one logistical question. So was that to pass on to full committee or that was full approval?
Yes.
Yeah, that's, okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, and so for Tribes, I have an email from Niall, who's the proposer and the owner of Tribes today. I want to pass along from him that he had a family obligation come up unexpectedly tonight. Could not be in here in person, but that the request is very important to him as the owner of Tribes, and he's also willing, if you have any questions on the set proposal, to call him by cell phone, and he'd be willing to speak over cell phone to the trustees if at your approval/desire. So that's the message from Niall that I received today.
The only concern I have about with Tribes is I know Tribes has a brewery in Mokina. Traditionally, we haven't had any breweries with any of the video gaming. I want to make sure that we're not creating a whole nother liquor license for something like that down the road for a brewery, so. I mean, I'd like to table this one until we can speak to the owner.
Sounds reasonable.
Mike, are you good with that?
You cut in and out. Did you say you wanted to table it, or was that Bill?
I'd like to table it, because I
Yeah, it
know
was
that
Bill.
Tribes there's a brewery in Mokina, and I know that we don't have any video gaming in any of our breweries. I want to make sure that that's not an issue going forward.
Okay.
So I figure if we table it, we can talk to the owner. The owner's not here tonight.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Bill. I'm fine.
And Trustee Brennan, so outside of the tabling question, as a logistical point, we actually, so in the liquor license classes, we have an SV, we have an S and an SV, which is a brew pub.
Okay.
Tribes is under the A and AV, which is sale of liquor by the drink on premises and sale of liquor by the drink on premises with video gaming. But there actually is a brew pub license on the books that would be S and SV for without and with video gaming. But you said correctly, we currently have no establishments in Tinley Park that utilize that
Yeah.
license category, but it is on
on the book,
it's
right.
within the Tinley Park ordinances.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I think it's coming, a brewery license as well.
Yeah, I couldn't speak to that, but logistically, it's within the ordinance. But
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of outside your table discussion.
Right, okay.
All right, so we're looking to a motion to table this.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And so ordered. We have any, item number 5, receive comments from the public? Since there are no comments from the public, we'd like to make a motion for adjournment of the Administration and Legal Committee.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very
And that's
good.
it.
All right. So what, Dave, do we want to do Public Works or
Yeah.
Public Safety next?
Public Works?
Public Works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first item,
Let me open the meeting. I'd like to open the Public Works Committee meeting. Let the record reflect it's 6:47. Item number 2, consider approval of the minutes of the Public Works Committee.
We gotta let him know he's on the air.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Gotta read that.
You have to announce I'm
Right,
Yeah.
we got it.
participating.
He's
I'd
got it.
like to announce that Trustee Glatz will be participating in this meeting electronically by telephone conference call. He is prevented from physically attending this meeting due to employment purposes. The voice of the absent member participating by telephone conference call must be identified by the other village board members. Trustee Glatz, do you want to acknowledge your presence?
Yeah, I'm present. Thanks.
Trustee Glatz, are you here?
Yes, I'm present. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Item number 2, I'd like to consider approval of the minutes of the Public Works Committee meeting held on July 9th, 2019.
Second. I'd like to make a motion. Second it.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3, discuss intergovernmental agreement with the Tinley Park Park District for use of the property Volunteer Park.
so this is a request, obviously, from the Park District to use a portion of Volunteer Park that we own to help with the grant. So go ahead, Sean.
Thank you for the time this evening, trustees. The Park District has a unique function, obviously, here in town. We also have a lot of overlapping opportunities, and this is one of those. About a year ago, we transferred Boramet Park, which was a development park that was actually owned by the village, maintained by the Park District, to the Park District for the purposes of ownership, and we took over all of that, and it was a partnership. During that conversation, Administrator Niemeyer and I have had conversations, and this kind of came out of the woodwork rather quickly. The state had announced a second round of OSLED applications that literally gave us less than 60 days when they announced they were going to do it to actually apply. The Park District had no intent on applying again, at least initially when we thought of it, but we had recently gotten the St. Boniface OSLED for the park across the street. Well, we had gone through our master plan and we were looking at some opportunities, and it might be there because there is some concern there may not be enough applications, so we figured we might as well try again. And so Volunteer Park is one of our master plan parks. It's located on 175th Avenue. And I have to apologize, in my memo, I actually gave you the wrong address. The proper address is 8180 175th Street. It is bordered on the western side by the ComEd lines, and on the eastern side, it's bordered by what would be village property that was slated to be a road, originally a connection between 175th and 179th. At this point, it's literally just green space that's there, and the Park District, kids play on it all the time, we don't have anything on it. There is a connection into the neighborhood I believe that's the Potawatomi neighborhood there to the eastern side. There is a connection to the park through the neighborhood. What we are looking to do is, our segment of the property is about 6.7 acres. But the segment that the road is supposed to sit on is about another 4 acres. Again, if you look at it today, you just see green space. But in order for us to do any planning with it, we believe some additional planning would be nice and some additional space to put some pathways in would be a nice amenity for those that live here in town. But to do that, we need either an IGA or a transfer of the property to the Park District in order to do that, to move forward. We know that this can't be completed by the time the OSLED application is due, which is on Monday, August 19th. So we're making the application with our property being the prime for everything. You will have seen in your packet that you have one piece that's us staying solely on our property and another our concept where we come off. We are writing the application in such a fashion to say that we are trying and attempting to work out an IGA or a transfer with the village, but we need to move forward with the process, which is why I'm here tonight, to seek the idea or to seek some permission to look at this plan and move it forward amongst the committee and then up to your board.
Any questions?
No, I have no questions. I think it's a great idea. You know, we have a great park system. As it is.
Still there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut out for a while.
Were you able to hear
Sean Roby.
Sean Roby?
I heard about 3/4 of it. So if he's done speaking, then I just want to thank Sean for everything he's doing for the Park District, and glad to be a part of it, supporting what he's trying to do.
Thank you, Trustee Glatz. Appreciate it.
We echo his sentiments. You know that.
We appreciate it. We have a great relationship with the village between 4th of July and Fire and Rescue EMS and everything else that goes on. We've been very fortunate to have the relationship we have, and we look to continue that. This is just one of those opportunities that we have a lot of properties that are kind of similar in fashion. So if there's ways that we can help, we will.
Absolutely.
So someday we'll see you back up here asking for some more land.
Possibly, but nothing I have planned at this point.
Oh,
Very
okay.
good.
It's okay to clarify, we're just recommending basically that they be allowed to use.
Yeah, it's not a
Yeah,
transfer, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
so it basically should be a fairly simple IGA. We'll obviously have to have the attorneys work on that, but this shouldn't be
Yeah,
that
no.
complicated.
Shouldn't be that big of a problem.
Yeah.
And I know the big thing from the village's standpoint is there's at least an easement on the side where we have, I'm guessing, water and sewer and other things that we want to make sure. So we have no plans. If you've noticed, the plan itself, the concept for expansion doesn't include covering that stuff up. So,
That was my next question. As long as nothing's being moved at this point, I guess I'm good with it.
Yeah, good too.
Dave, do you need a motion to move it to the board?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Sean.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Good night, everybody. Have a
Yep,
great
take
night.
care. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, receive update on the 80th Avenue Bridge project.
So this has been a long-standing project. This might be the third different group of trustees. It's probably, maybe more than that, because it preceded, preceded my time. So this is just an update on the project. We are ready to take some action, and I know trustee Mueller had asked that that brings what the last board had approved in terms of some of the improvements that we're funding on our own, just to kind of at least make the committee aware of it. And so, Chris?
Yeah, I brought along a little PowerPoint that was put together by the Will County Highway Department. So Mike, I apologize, trustee Glatz, I should say, I apologize that you aren't able to see the pictures, but I'll try to describe them as we go. So I'll kind of stick to the pictures in the PowerPoint more than anything else. Like Dave said, the 80th Avenue corridor, essentially the project, and there's two components to it that we're talking about, from 191st Street to 183rd Street. You know, that segment is still just a two-lane road, carries a ton of traffic, bridge is falling apart. You know, there's been a fight going on for a long time between the state and the county about getting the bridge fixed, who owns what part of it. You know, all that aside, Will County is taking the tack of getting the Phase 1 study done for the improvement from 191st Street to 183rd Street. And it includes, you know, the widening of the bridge, 4 lanes, you know, and adding some corridor things there. So the enhancement opportunities that came to the village were to say things beyond what normally would be done for the roadway. You know, the village would have the responsibility to, if we put in bike paths, if we want to add streetlights. The county, state, they never build streetlights. It's a local agency issue. If we want to upgrade landscaping, if we want to do special treatments, things like that, that the local agency would need to fund. And so what I'll do is I'll kind of jump through, you know, there's 3 levels that they look at. Level 1, when we talk about level 1, that's what is going to be done in a normal roadway project. You know, irregardless of everything else, that's no extra amenities. You know, the but for, you know, we have to regrade parkways, replace sidewalks, things like that. All that would be funded. And then level 2 was sort of like a mixture of, okay, here's some initial upgrades, you know, but not, you know, the Cadillac of the upgrades. Level 3 would be, hey, what is the, you know, the Cadillac, depending on what things we want to do. And I think the pictures will kind of tell that a little bit better too. So when we look at the levels at the intersections, I'm going to jump right ahead to the drawing of what they would call an intersection approval level 1. And the intersection that you're looking at would be the intersection of 183rd Street and 80th Avenue. So for a level 1 intersection, essentially, the cross section they're looking on 80th Avenue is going to be 3 lanes in all directions. And when you get to these intersections, dual lefts in all directions, big intersections. So they'll have little median islands where they can fit them in there because of right-of-way. You can't put a median island in the northwest corner because of the way the residential property is developed there. So that would be the one that I wouldn't. So level 1 would be just a striped median. You know, nothing fancy. You know, this is something you've seen at just about any intersection throughout the community. No upgrades, essentially. So this would have been entirely funded as part of the project. The next picture, when we go to level 2, you start to get an idea of what the enhancements look like. We're basically doing some sort of a special treatment to make the crosswalks stand out. Whether it's stamped concrete, it could be brick, it could be a lot of different things. That's really up to the village. And we wanted a placeholder by saying, okay, if you want to do a level 2, there's a cost associated with it. They'll address it through the Phase 2 design, and then they'll come up with, you know, a cost allocation and then intergovernmental agreements. So you a little bit nicer landscaping, definitely an enhanced crosswalk. When we go to a level 3 intersection, you know, essentially the 2 corners, when you look at the northeast, which would be by the Public Works Garage, and the opposite side, which is the, you know, the shopping areas, would have like entranceway plazas. That would be the enhancement that would be added. A good visual now would be to look at the intersection in on LaGrange Road, 143rd Street by the Medical Center. Orland Park, on one of those corners, it's got a nice wall built and a sign, a plaque that says Orland Park, sort of an entranceway. That's what a level 3 intersection would look like. We'd have that opportunity to enhance it that way. Interestingly enough, the intersection of 183rd and 80th is almost the geometric center of the village of Tinley Park. So I think that's one of those areas that it may make sense to do some sort of an enhanced level 3, you know, if we wanted to invest it that way. When we start to look at level 3, this gives an idea of kind of what that plaza area might look like. You know, you're going to build some sort of a feature in there, the ability to put in a sign. One example of where the village was successful, this is 183rd Street, as you go from 80th Avenue out to LaGrange Road. We were able to get on that project, fences funded as part of it. We put in enhanced medians. And then if you notice at each of the neighborhoods, we put the concrete columns up that identify each of the neighborhoods. Those were all things that were negotiated through that contract that the village paid the extra for. So that would have been more like a level 2. And then when we start to 183rd Street, what was selected back then was a level 2. We were basically looking for, enhanced crosswalks, enhanced landscaping, some sort of decorative banding, accent trees, any kind of landscaping that would be low, easy to maintain. As you can see, it's about $100,000 worth of upgrade at an intersection. We looked at 185th Street saying that, well, that's essentially just an intersection that goes into a business park. Really wasn't one that would qualify to necessarily to have any kind of an upgrade. So level 1 was what had been selected for that intersection. And the next really major intersection was 191st Street. Because in between there, you've just got a couple little, I think 186th Street comes to a T. You got the Panduit Drive, which is right in, right out, and a full access on the Mokina side. And then the village had selected 191st Street doing similar kind of treatments. 191st would have stamped crosswalks, enhanced landscaping, maintenance, accent trees, banding, things of that nature. So when we start to look at what was the cost summary, because all these things had a cost. So, when you look at those 3 intersections, the level 1, which is just, it had the nominal expense, level 2. So essentially, if we would have picked, hey, level 3, the question was asked, how much would it cost us to really go all out on those 2 major intersections and really don't do much on 185th Street? We get into the range of about $450,000 if we wanted to, really enhance those 2 intersections. By taking the mixture, which was in level 2 on 183rd, 191st Street, plus just the nominal stuff at 185th Street, it was about 233. So that was sort of the range of the enhancements that were looked at. And so at this point, we've advised Will County that the village was, going at the mixture, about the $250,000 range of intersection enhancements. So any questions about intersections?
Just to talk about enhancements, and you see it as you travel across the country in different places, would we be able to have our Life Amplified guitar, logo that,
Absolutely, yeah.
put up there?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that, that's set now, because they'll be coming back to the village, and then whatever committees that need to be run through to come up with, what do we want it to actually look like then?
Right.
What kind of signage do we want? What things do we want to have done? You'll be wanting to put an eye towards what's the least amount of maintenance I have to do on these things. So we'll be doing Life Amplified maybe in, median signs or some other way, not in the traveled way, because then it gets a wear pattern on it.
Right.
But definitely.
On the bridge itself, would they put?
We'll come to the bridge.
Okay.
Thank you. That's a
We'll get to that
great,
bridge
that's a great segue.
We'll cross that bridge. I'm sorry.
That's a great segue. When we looked at the bridge, there was actually 3 levels for the bridge, and this is a revised 3 levels. When they first started out with the bridges, we looked at, we the village, hey, big retaining walls, fancy things out there that, would have the ability to emblazon some signs on the retaining walls themselves. That was in the millions of dollars, which was something that was ruled out kind of early. So then it went down to the 3 levels of what could we do at the bridge. And when we look at the 3 levels, the top one, just your plain old generic vanilla bridge. Doesn't look like much. I mean, even level 2, there's not much to it. They start to add some aesthetic features, break up the concrete parapet walls, add a little landscaping at the medians. Not much of an enhancement. Level 3 is when you start to get into, okay, we want to do something as a signature bridge. But signature only in so much as the railing, and at the abutments at each end. Signposts, things of that nature that get in an affordable way. So you kind of get a sense then when you look at these 3, and again, none of these are set. These are just all concepts that they put together, just to say, what could it look like? So in fact, there was one that had been put together. Now this is with the cost. You can kind of get a sense. It's about $27,000 of upgrades, and that was nominal because we're putting in a bike path, and you need a bike railing, bridge, fence. That's a little more expensive than a normal bridge railing. That's why we'd always have some cost involved. Level 2 is about $100,000. Nominal stuff about $400,000 when we start to get into aesthetic railings. Just you get a sense that it's not necessarily inexpensive. Because anytime we get into anything on a bridge, it's got to be crash tested and things of that nature. It's got to go through some additional testing. Just fairly sturdy stuff.
Oh, sure.
And then there was one that was put together, and this is not what it would look like, but this was actually taken out of some of the branding campaigns. You know, where it could say, okay, if, you know, the Life Amplified, what could you do? You know, yeah, this will be where it'll be the imagination of the village to come up with what do we really want it to look like.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah. And, you know, so that actually, the village did select, you know, level 3 on the railing. But what it'll look like, that'll be determined, you know, at a later date, really through village input. You know, the bike path was one of the things the village, required as part of our master plan. We have no access from the north side of the town to the south side of the town. 80th Avenue is the one road that goes from the north side of the town to the south side of the town. That's not a state route or a county route. So there's an additional expense. They've got to widen, to be able to put a bike path through there. And we're going up over a bridge, which means the bridge has got to be made bigger. So our share just to get a bike path is about $780,000. So that's one of the enhancements that we asked for. And so the summary, when we start to look at it, is you get a sense that, you know, $280,000 for intersections, and I put a copy of the memo that went to the county in front of you too. So you kind of get a sense when we start to look at, you know, we'll have some cost for traffic signals. We own some of the legs. We're responsible for that. You know, that's not really an enhancement. That's just our responsibility. You know, the ornamental railings on there, you know, sidewalks that we're going to be adding where they're missing the bike path, and then enhanced intersections. You know, we end up getting into our, you know, the $2 million range when we put a contingency on top of that. So any questions on that end?
Yeah, what's the, I'm sorry, you told me earlier, the split? You said there is.
Yeah, on this one, right now, the village just doesn't have any expense other than the $2 million of enhancement that we're looking on this leg of the project. So that's another great segue for the intersection of 191st and 80th. You know, that was one of the things I also wanted to talk about briefly is you know, the genesis of the project is the village was able to secure some funding through its STP federal money through the South Suburban Mayors and Managers going back probably 10 years now to improve the intersection of 191st and 80th Avenue. You know, that one will be a split of, you know, 80%, you know, state federal and 20% local. And with that, we're able to get some enhancement with Mokina. They have one of the corners. So they're responsible for part of that reimbursement too. When the county went ahead and moved forward on their phase 1 of the entire stretch, you know, the village foregoed, we let go of the money of the, you know, doing our independent phase 1. Made sense to address it as a whole corridor. But the village couldn't move forward on phase 2 design with a federal process until you got design approval from a phase 1. That's been done now. And so the county is working on the design of 191st Street from a little north of 191st Street through the 80th. And the village will be doing the design of the intersection at 191st and 80th. That will be the first leg that gets done because we actually have funding. And so right now, agreements are down in Springfield. So one of the things we're asking the committee would be to make a motion not to approve the agreement because the state has to approve them first, but to get through the committee so that once the state approves the agreement, we can take them to the village board for actual final approval so we can keep that project moving forward. We did learn just in the last 2 weeks, you know, the county had submitted through the CMAP for the regional funding for their leg of the project. They didn't get it. You know, so we're kind of disappointed to hear that they didn't get it. So that's going to push that out in a couple more years again. We don't know exactly where. You know, that's a $20 million project and it's not funded. You know, but the county is getting it shovel ready. You know, the good news is once it's shovel ready, you know, we do have revenue streams improving in the state. They've improved the motor fuel tax at 19 cents a gallon. So funding may break free on some of these projects. And so the county's positioning it to be in position so that, hey, if funding becomes available, that might be a nice one to jump ahead somewhere.
Right. Well, I can understand why it's been taking so long. Getting hold of everybody.
As long as it's funding.
Yes.
Coming up with the money. One of the things that is on the table that the county's talked to the village about over the years too is that's a dead-end extension for Will County. Essentially from 191st Street, their jurisdiction ends at 183rd Street where it becomes Cook County. So one of the things that's been discussed is that once this is all improved, the village taking over jurisdiction of 80th Avenue from 191st Street to 183rd Street, not including the bridge. That's real important to keep that in mind. We don't want the bridge because that's a long-term, very expensive thing. So we're going to try to leverage that to help get some of the extras that we may need to get done covered
Right.
too.
Yeah, no.
Well, Trustee Glatz, you got any questions?
No, looks great. How much do you think they save if he in-kinds the engineering?
I'm sorry, Mike, what was that? Can you hear me?
He said, how much do you think we'll save if you in-kind the engineering?
Oh, okay, yeah, the engineering is going to be funded 80-22. So the Phase 2 engineering for the intersection is a lot cheaper than the intersection the county's paying for.
I knew what he was
Thanks. I was able to see your whole presentation, Chris, because it was put on the screen.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks. Any other questions? It's interesting, like Dave said, the history in these things, when the Park District was here, we're talking about the S-curve. Essentially, that goes back to the 70s, when the county was actually going to improve 179th Street to 175th Street. There was going to be a big S-curve. That's why the right-of-way's there. But then we, the village, got them to do 171st Street, and then other improvements to alternate from that. So that's just been sitting out there for a long time.
So it'll be a few months before this goes to the board.
Yeah, the agreement. We're pushing them. I mean, essentially, the state's broke, so they're sitting on agreements down in Springfield. That's why we're not the only engineering agreement that's sitting down there. They're slow walking agreements so they don't have to worry about paying shares of agreements. So we're hoping to keep that agreement moving. It's been down there for 7-8 months probably. There's others that have been down there for well over a year.
So we're going to get the Marketing and Branding Commission involved specifically
Thank you, sir.
in the,
Thanks, Chris.
in the sign, and perhaps some of the other ones, just to give their input and make sure that the musical design is appropriate, so we don't have some of the issues we had with the sidewalk, the crosswalks on North Street. So we'll be bringing this to them probably over the fall.
Okey-doke.
Thanks, Chris.
Do we need a motion on that agreement? So that, or does that, another public works committee on that?
No, we should get a motion so we don't have to have another, and then it'll go to, then you'll just let us
Just
know
go to
what
the
the
board.
state. So, okay, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Thanks, Chris. Item number 5, discuss fee study, text amendment, water and sewer connection fees.
Thank you. The Public Works Department is currently evaluating the connection fees we charge to cover the cost of installing a service for a residential home or commercial and industrial businesses. The water meter costs are currently updated annually based on the cost to purchase the meter and its components. The cost of all the components and services except the meter are included in the tap-on fee. The village's current rates were last updated in April of 1985. After reviewing some analysis on the surrounding towns, we were able to obtain the information below in regards to the fees that these other towns around us charge. So I'm going to summarize going through these guys. Basically, the current residential fee that we charge here in Tinley is about $405 for a residential tap-on fee. I have information that's attached to this, and it's summarized in here for what the surrounding towns do charge. I did do an average of all the surrounding towns, and if you look at the residential fee, the average of the surrounding towns is about $6,929.50. The recommended fee that we are proposing here for Tinley is $6,000. Going on to the commercial, the 1-inch fees are all summarized for each of the surrounding towns. The average of the 4 of them comes out to $8,903.50. The recommended fee we're proposing is $7,250. Going on to a 1.5-inch commercial tap-on fee, the average of the surrounding towns is $14,446.10. the recommended fee for us would be $12,000. Onto a 2-inch commercial tap-on fee, the average is $22,844.05. The recommended fee would be $19,000. For a 3-inch commercial tap-on fee, the average for the surrounding towns is $57,462.75. The recommended fee would be $46,000. For the 4-inch commercial tap-on fee, the surrounding towns, the average is $83,773.75. The recommended fee would be $68,000. Anything larger, actually, for anything over 3-inch, we would have to do an analysis, which basically would be the cost of the actual meter itself, plus some additional analysis of the surrounding towns. But basically, in summary, we're looking at residential fee, we're looking to go to $6,000, a 1-inch commercial tap-on fee, $7,250, a 1.5-inch, $12,000, 2-inch, $19,000, 3-inch, $46,000, and 4-inch, $68,000. And again, anything over 4-inch would be to be negotiated with the village. So I have attached all the information of what was used to analyze these fees and breakdowns. So again, what was proposed there is what we've kind of come to a consensus on, and we're wanting to present to the board.
So we've been presenting a number of these fees to other committees. Really, this is something I had to ask staff to look at about a year or so ago. And, the best practice is really for fees like this is these fees should be looked at every few years or so. As you see in the memo, our last review of this was 1985. So that's the reason for the big jump. It is large, but when you're not reviewing these every few years, that's what happens. And so.
Well, I think that's good. It's definitely been updated. I
Well,
mean,
it's all written in there, yes. Each one has our initial cost on there, and then it gives the summary of all the towns
What
around.
we're talking about is, so you guys know exactly where we're at now with our fees to where we're going to. It is a big jump from what it was, because we were only charging per inch with that very old number, so it's a large increase.
it's a large increase, but is it? Well, is that the average? Is 575 the average?
Correct.
Okay, so that's, okay. You don't have any questions?
No, I don't. It's unfortunate, like you say, but you don't do it every couple of years. That's what'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is, gotta be expected. Things go up over time, so
Yeah?
it's time. Yeah, it's way overdue. I
Way
think it's
overdue.
time.
Okay.
Trustee Galat, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm all good.
Okay.
Thanks, Kobe.
You bet. Thank you.
Dave, we need a motion to move this to the board too?
Yes, and again, so this, just for the next step, because we've been doing all these fee proposals at the committees, we're gonna bring all the changes to a committee of the whole. I'm not sure if Laura remembers when, but I think it's the next few weeks or so. So this will not be on the agenda Tuesday, but will be on sometime in the next few weeks with all the other fee changes.
Okay.
So, but we should make a motion to move it to the board committee of the whole.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
We move it to the
Second.
board.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you.
I think that committee of the whole is next Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, Dan's out of town, so I'm not sure that may not happen, but, yeah.
So it won't be on that agenda. It won't be at the.
No, the
agenda.
person, Dan Ritter, who's been organizing it, I'm pretty sure is on vacation this week, so probably be September, I think, before this gets wrapped up, so.
Okay. Well, we got it, so. We're good, all right. Item number 6, discuss awarding the contract for the 2019 sidewalk gap project.
Thank you. The Public Works Department, in its role to maintain its village-owned sidewalk, had a separate line item to this year's budget to construct new sidewalks along a number of selected streets throughout the village. The service contract was advertised in the local newspaper and on Quest CDN. There were 3 sealed bids received on August 2nd, 2009. The low responsible bidder was J.J. Newell Concrete Contractors in the amount of $131,217.50. The village has worked with J.J. Newell and has found them to be a credible, trustworthy contractor, and they are also IDOT pre-qualified. Their low bid was $131,217.50, and we're recommending approval for this project to be awarded to them. Any questions?
No, I know they've been doing some work recently in my neighborhood, so they've done a really good job. Under budget's good, so.
Great. No questions?
No questions for me. Trustee Glatz, any questions?
Nope, just that, I don't know if he said that it's also 19,000 under budget.
Yeah, no, I mentioned that.
Okay, thanks, Bill, sorry.
So, I'll make a motion to move it to the board.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Item number 7, discuss downtown holiday decorations for a proposed purchase of new decorations and renewal of service contract.
I'll take this one, thank you. Since Donna was unable to make the committee meeting tonight, I'll reference that, Public Works and the Marketing Department has traditionally worked together on the downtown decorations for the Christmas market. What we're putting in front of you here tonight is the request to purchase a handful of different Christmas decorations. As you see here, we've got some illuminated snowflakes, illuminated reindeer, and a fountain light up display. So after the tree is taken down, it gives you kind of a winter look for the fountain space. It fills the bottom bowl of that fountain, and again, gives a kind of a winter look for it. We were given some decent pricing for the reindeer as we rented them last year, so they're giving us kind of a discounted used price, even though it was our reindeer that we rented last year. And it's the marketing department's recommendation based on their budget that they had $45,000 budgeted for holiday decorations, and again, traditionally it was flags and banners budget was utilized for this these purchases. So overall, the purchases were $5,700 over what they originally requested for the budget, but they are recommending that they cut back on the amount of banners that they were putting on all the street poles. That would be able to come up with the difference in what their quote is here for the material. So we're requesting from the committee to approve the purchases as stated and forward to the board.
What's our saxophones that we had last year, or last 2 years, actually?
Trumpets.
Trumpets? I knew it was a brass instrument.
Those are on the street. These are for around by the train station.
By the train station?
Yeah, they're up and down Oak Park Avenue, and from the first year where they were accepted, we've expanded those decorations further in each direction to cover the.
So we're still using our trumpets?
Correct.
Okay, because I know they were on Oak Park Avenue last year.
Nope, those that we've purchased. Again, we purchase a decent amount of them, and every year we increase the number so we can expand the decorations.
So you are recommending cutting down on the banners though, for the 57?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, our discussion with the marketing department was that in lieu of the holiday banners on all the street poles that they originally requested, they would cut down a couple of those and then again offset the $5,700 of the difference.
Yeah. I think that look nice. I think it'll look nice. I mean, it's sad to say that winter's coming, but it's here we are. I think it'll look nice using the fountain.
Yeah, that was
it's always a centerpiece. So
that was a recommendation by Kelly Mulqueeny, our street superintendent. She found one of our vendors offered that, and I think there's a lull after the tree is taken down until the St. Patrick's Day parade, and this kind of fills that bridges that gap of decorations, and again it gives you kind of a winteristic look for the fountain to not be operating, but it gives some type of decoration out there.
Aesthetic value.
Right.
Aesthetic value.
right. So, all right. Trustee Glatz, you have any questions?
Oh, good, thanks.
Trustee Mr. Brady?
No, sir, we're all set.
All right. Well, make a motion to send it to the board, or do you need Dave, you need a motion for it?
Yes.
Yeah. Make a motion to move it to the board?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Item number 8, discuss cul-de-sac snow removal contract renewal.
Boy, we're just jumping into it, aren't we? From Christmas to snow removal.
Thank you again, sirs. This is the request for year 3 of 3 for the service contract award to Zanier Trucking for the cul-de-sac snow removal. Again, this was bid out 3 years ago. This is the third and final year of this contract that we're requesting for an extension. Their annual bid came in at $134,298.36. You know, systematically, the way these contracts work is we have a base bid on a 10 snowfall line, and we obviously budget for more than that. So essentially, the contractors will put their bids on that 10 snowfall amount. You know, as you can see in the memo here, we do have, you know, a budget well over what is bid, but again, not being able to predict the future, we try to cover ourselves with that budget in case we do happen to go over the 10 snowfalls. So we are requesting the committee approval and the forward to board that we would approve this contract at the $134,000 mark, and then if necessary, give us the available, you know, the approval to utilize the available funding as budgeted.
Has there been any problems with this company
Nope.
with the cul-de-sac cleaning?
Nothing beyond our typical, you
Right.
know, we'll get some, you know, calls and, of issues, but, they're very responsive. You know, again, if we had issues with them, we wouldn't be, asking for an extension of the contract.
Any questions, Mike? Trustee Glatz, any questions?
Yeah, I do. John, is it typical that just 2 companies bid for the cul-de-sac? I'm just curious why the next agenda item for the parking lots, Beverly Snow and Ice, seems to be extremely low. Have they ever bid on the cul-de-sacs?
Not to my recollection. There's obviously, you know, snow removal isn't as simple as you may think in this operation. You know, the cul-de-sacs and you know, the other portions of this scope would require heavier equipment. A lot of times you're going to see multiple end loaders out there. Some of the heavier trucks, where with the you know, the smaller parking lot bid, they're going to have different type of equipment, and some of our requirements for that scope for the cul-de-sacs do have a higher response rate requirement, you know, and turnaround. And you know, I mean, I could go back in our history. I would assume Beverly has bid on it in previous times, but you know, maybe they realized after you know, after really looking at the scope, what you know, we put a high level of responsibility on these street contractors in comparison to the parking lot contractors.
I think the other thing, Trustee Lott says, they're all over town, the cul-de-sacs, so they have to move everywhere. And they need a lot more staffing